What would you do if the manager of a car dealership insulted you and tried to kick you out, not knowing you were actually his new boss? This story will leave you speechless. Stay with me, because the twist at the end will change the way you look at people forever. It was a busy afternoon at one of the biggest car dealerships in town. Customers walked in and out, admiring the latest models, polished chrome, spotless glass, and engines that purred like lions. Inside the showroom, the manager stood tall, chest out, eyes sharp. He thought he had everything under control. He prided himself on spotting real customers from a mile away and dismissing anyone he believed was a waste of time. Then it happened. A young black man pushed open the glass doors. He wasn't in a suit. He wasn't driving a fancy car, no expensive watch on his wrist, just simple jeans, a plain shirt, and sneakers that had clearly seen better days. To the customers, he was just another passerby. But to the manager, he was already a target. Cut to manager, whispering to a salesman, smirking. "Look at that one," the manager muttered. "He's definitely not buying anything. He's probably just here to waste our time." The salesman chuckled quietly, shaking his head. They didn't know it yet, but this moment would haunt the manager forever. The young man walked between the cars slowly, his eyes filled with admiration. He paused at a luxury SUV, running his hand gently along the side mirror. He wasn't loud, he wasn't causing trouble, he was simply looking. But in the manager's mind, every step he took was an offense. Every glance at a car was a challenge, and with every passing second, the manager's arrogance grew. And that's when the storm began to brew. Because the manager had no idea that the man he was about to humiliate was about to become his worst nightmare. The young man leaned in closer to the driver's seat of a sleek black sedan, smiling faintly. Behind him, heavy footsteps echoed across the showroom floor. The manager was on his way. And in just a few seconds, words would be spoken that could never be taken back. The air inside the dealership shifted. Customers stopped whispering about cars and started whispering about him. The young man didn't notice, or maybe he did. His calmness was unsettling, but the manager, he noticed, and he was about to make his move. "Hey, what do you think you're doing here?" The young man turns, surprised but polite. "I'm looking around, just checking out some cars." Manager smirks, looking him up and down with disdain. "Looking around? Listen, this isn't a hangout spot. If you're not here to buy, I need you to leave. Now." The words sliced through the room, heads turned, customers leaned closer, and the man's dignity was put on trial. The young man chuckles softly, still calm. "Actually, I am here to buy." Manager bursts out laughing, loud enough for the entire floor to hear. "To buy, these cars aren't cheap. Do you even know how much that sedan costs? People like you can't afford this." Customers murmur. Some shake their heads in disbelief at the manager's words. And just like that, the air grew heavier. The insult wasn't whispered. It wasn't hidden. It was served raw in front of everyone. Manager crosses his arms, towering over the young man. "Tell you what, if you're serious, why don't you show me proof right now? Otherwise, get out before I call security." The young man, still composed, pulls out his phone, scrolls calmly, as if the insult barely touched him. "Watch, he's bluffing. This'll be over in seconds." But the young man didn't look rattled. He didn't look embarrassed. In fact, his smile grew wider, almost as if he knew something the manager didn't. He placed a call, his tone respectful, professional, confident. And as his words echoed softly, "Yes, I'm here, everything looks good, I'll meet you inside." The room went still. Who was he talking to? Why did he sound so certain? The manager scoffed, shaking his head, but deep down, for the first time that day, a shadow of doubt crept in. The dealership was no longer buzzing about the cars. All eyes were locked on the confrontation unfolding at the center of the showroom. Phones came out. Some customers recorded quietly, others whispered, and everyone waited to see what would happen next. Manager waves his hand dismissively. Enough games, security. Two guards step forward, uncertain. The young man raises his hand calmly. There's no need for that. I already told you, I'm here for business. Manager smirks, leaning closer. Business? You're wasting my time. People like you don't belong here. The words strung, not just for him, but for everyone who heard. The arrogance was on full display, and yet, the young man didn't flinch. The young man's phone rings. He answers smoothly, voice steady. Yes, I've arrived. The showroom looks fine. I'll meet you inside shortly. The manager laughs mockingly, loud enough for the room. Oh sure, big business call, huh? Who are you talking to, the president? Crowd chuckles nervously, some with him, some shaking their heads in disbelief. But the way he spoke, the confidence in his tone, it didn't sound like a bluff. He wasn't begging, he wasn't nervous, he was in control. And that calmness made the manager uneasy. Customers whisper among themselves. He doesn't look scared at all. What if he's telling the truth? Manager snaps at them. Don't be fooled, he's putting on a show. I've seen this 100 times. But deep down, the cracks were showing. His voice wasn't as steady, his smirk wasn't as sharp, and the crowd, they weren't entirely on his side anymore. The young man pockets his phone, smiling faintly, then locks eyes with the manager. You're going to regret speaking to me this way. The manager scoffs, waving him off. Yeah, right, I'll regret nothing. Security, escort him out. Before the guards can move, the sound of a powerful engine roars outside. Tires screech softly as a sleek black luxury sedan pulls up to the entrance. And in that instant, the atmosphere shifted. The crowd fell silent. The manager blinked, his smirk fading. Because whoever was stepping out of that car was about to change everything. Slow motion, black luxury sedan glides to a stop outside the dealership, sunlight bouncing off the tinted windows. The sound of the engine cut through the air like thunder. The sleek sedan rolled to a halt in front of the glass doors. Heads turned, whispers spread, phones lifted higher. Something was about to happen, something no one in that room was prepared for. The car door opens. A tall, sharply dressed man steps out, the regional director of the dealership group. He adjusts his tie, walks confidently past the gawking customers, and heads straight inside. The manager grins nervously, rushing forward to greet him. Sir, perfect timing, we have a situation here. This man... The director brushes past him without a glance. The crowd stiffened. The director's eyes weren't on the manager. His stride didn't falter. His attention was locked on the young man. The director reaches out his hand firmly. Welcome, sir. We've been waiting for you. Gasps ripple across the room. Phones record furiously. The young man shakes his hand calmly, smiling faintly, as though everything was unfolding exactly as planned. The words struck like lightning. The arrogance drained from the manager's face. The room fell into silence. The man he had mocked, humiliated, insulted, was no ordinary customer. He was something far greater. The manager stammers, stepping closer, pale with confusion. What's going on here? The director turns sharply, voice booming across the floor. Allow me to introduce your new boss. As of this morning, he is the owner of this dealership. Gasps erupt louder, customers clap, some cheering, phones capture the stunned silence of the staff. The manager's world crumbled in an instant. His smirk was gone, his authority shattered. And standing before him was the truth. The man he'd tried to push out now owned everything around him. The manager stutters, hands trembling. I didn't know, I had no idea. The young man steps forward, calm but firm. You didn't have to know. Respect shouldn't depend on what a person owns or how they look. The manager lowers his head, humiliated, as the crowd watches in silence. And in that moment, the lesson rang louder than any engine, clearer than any deal ever made on that showroom floor. Respect costs nothing, but arrogance can cost you everything. The manager stands frozen, customers watching, the young man calm and composed. The silence was heavier than steel, no one spoke, no one moved, the truth had struck, and it was undeniable. The man they laughed at, the man they dismissed, was now the one with all the power. The young man steps forward, his voice calm but strong. You looked at me and saw nothing but what you wanted to see. But the truth, respect shouldn't depend on appearances. It should be the foundation of every interaction. He looks around the showroom, making eye contact with customers and staff alike. Because you never know who you're really dealing with, and today, you learned that lesson the hard way. The crowd held its breath. His words weren't loud. They didn't need to be. They carried the weight of authority, of dignity, of truth. The manager's voice cracks, desperation clear. Please, I didn't mean it. I was only doing my job. I didn't know who you were. The young man shakes his head slowly, eyes sharp. That's the problem. You shouldn't treat people with dignity only when you know who they are. Respect is free, but arrogance, it can cost you everything. The manager lowers his head, unable to speak. Customers clap softly, some nodding in agreement. A few even step closer to congratulate the young man. That's how a true leader speaks. Phones capture the moment, the new owner shaking hands with clients, the manager standing off to the side in shame. The balance of power had shifted. The man who was once ridiculed was now admired. The one who had mocked was now the lesson. The young man walks toward the exit with the director, pausing one last time. Never judge a book by its cover, because the person you look down on today may be the one signing your paycheck tomorrow. He exits calmly. Respect costs nothing, but prejudice, it can cost you everything.